pretty fun. But DiJonai Carrington, once again, more stuff just keeps coming out. She's bumping Caitlin Clark in the chest, staring Caitlin Clark down in the game, approaching her, getting in her face, all these things that have nothing to do with basketball. DiJonai, why is it every time you're on my screen, it's never a basketball play? Why is it always drama? Why is it always you being ghetto? Why is it you showing the characteristics of a hood rat? Like, can I please just see some class? Can I see some talent, please?
There is a reason the major sports networks cut away from the baseline feed tonight. There is a reason the WNBA is actively trying to scrub this specific 45C second-on audio clip from social media. What happened on the court was not just a basketball play, and it wasn't just another foul. It was the absolute raw, unfiltered public execution of a player's entire reputation. DiJonai Carrington stepped onto the hardwood tonight, thinking she was going to be the ultimate villain, the tough enforcer who could rattle the golden rookie. She thought she had the perfect blueprint to break Caitlin Clark. Instead, in front of thousands of screaming fans and millions watching at home, DiJonai experienced the most devastating psychological humiliation in the history of women's basketball. Forget the first cheap shot from weeks ago. Forget the media narratives. Tonight, Carrington attempted something so desperate, so unbelievably pathetic, that it completely backfired and ended up destroying her own career on live television. We have the leaked floor audio. We have the unedited camera angles that show exactly what happened in the shadows of the referee's blind spots. Caitlin Clark didn't just survive an attack. She unleashed a level of cold-blooded, terrifying disrespect that we haven't seen since Kobe Bryant didn't flinch at Matt Barnes. If you thought you knew how bad this rivalry was, you need to sit down and brace yourself, because the truth of what Carrington tried to pull tonight is going to leave you absolutely speechless. To understand the absolute magnitude of this humiliation, you have to look into the psychology of a clout chaser. Let's be brutally honest here. Before Caitlin Clark stepped into this league, a massive portion of the sports world didn't even know who DiJonai Carrington was. Carrington realized very quickly that her stat line wasn't going to get her on the front page of ESPN. She realized that her actual basketball skills weren't generating million-dollar endorsement deals. So she took the easy way out. She chose the dark path. She realized that the only way to get her name trending on Twitter, the only way to get a camera shoved in her face, was to attach herself like a parasite to the biggest phenomenon in modern sports history. Next.
Look how disrespectful this is. This is a you're not even worth my time type of wave off. This is a not even worth my time type of wave off. Damn, not even worth it. You're not even worth it. Look at this. Wasting my time. DiJonai Carrington, what a rough game. But this wasn't the only time DiJonai Carrington. Oh, this is a good point right here. The announcers were in Carrington shoulder bump CC. A little bit of passion afterwards. They are the fucking problem. Just her usual trying to stay relevant behavior. At least she knows who brings the clicks and the views. Caitlin's unbothered. Her game speaks for itself. You just know DiJonai blaming white privilege for her lack of defense. And this is the other time that DiJonai, dirtbag, clout-chasing Carrington tried to get a rise out of Caitlin Clark. DiJonai Carrington picks up a foul on Caitlin Clark and tells the ref that Caitlin is flopping.
It started with the subtle schvees, the dirty hits, and the post-game trash talk. And for a brief moment, her sick little plan worked. People talked about her. She got the villain edit. But Carrington made a fatal error. She became addicted to the clout. She needed another hit of that viral attention. Coming into tonight's matchup, insiders reported that Carrington was acting entirely out of character during warm-ups. She was hyper-focused on the Indiana Fever side of the court, constantly staring down the tunnel, waiting for Caitlin to emerge. She wasn't preparing to win a basketball game. She was preparing to orchestrate a viral moment. She was hunting for a highlight reel at the expense of a generational talent. But she forgot one crucial detail. Caitlin Clark isn't just a shooter. She is an absolute assassin who reads her opponent's minds. Midway through the second quarter, the tension in the arena was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The Fever were initiating a half-court set, and the ball was on the opposite wing. Caitlin was navigating through traffic completely off the ball. This was it. This was the moment DiJonai decided to launch her desperate premeditated strike. As Caitlin came off a screen, Carrington completely abandoned her defensive assignment, lowered her shoulder, and braced for a massive unprovoked collision. She wanted to send Caitlin flying into the hardwood. She wanted the collective gasp of the crowd. She wanted the dramatic technical foul. But here is where the unseen footage changes everything. Caitlin Clark has eyes in the back of her head. In a split second, anticipating the dirty hit, Caitlin slightly shifted her momentum and braced her core. When DiJonai made contact, expecting the rookie to crumple, it was like a Toyota Corolla crashing into a brick wall. Carrington literally bounced off of her. Caitlin barely moved an inch.
Going in, Caitlin has the ball all the way out here. So clearly you didn't get basketball, you got something else. If you got basketball, the ball would have, left Caitlin Clark's hand. It would have got, deflected or something. It would have went out the way. It would have been a loose ball. But no, Caitlin still has full control of her dribble. What she doesn't have control over is you all in her space, hand checking her, smacking her. And the referee sees it, calls the whistle. And you immediately, instead of reacting, this is how I know you're a victim. You get weaponized by the other victims in the black community, right? Because listen, there's multiple communities in the black community. There's the victim side, and then there's the side that stands for what's right. I'm on the side that stands for what's right? And I have a bunch of black supporters on this channel who is also on that same side. We don't care about skin color. We care about good product. We care about right or wrong. We care if you're a good human being. I don't care about your skin color. Shout out to B Hen. He was talking about Caitlin Clark to his friend, and they said that I don't like her for some reason, and he was like, damn bro, I'm sorry, she's the wrong color for you. And that's the sad truth of this league. And the worst part is the white fans can't even speak up about it because they'll just be called the racist. Like, it's crazy. But me, I don't care. DiJonai Carrington getting weaponized by the fans in the crowd. She wasn't gonna say something at first. Now she thought about it. She's like, let me go approach Caitlin Clark and do the head jerking me like she's flopping. Look at her.
The physical failure was bad enough, but what happened next is what the networks are trying to hide. Realizing her physical intimidation tactic had just failed miserably on national television, Carrington panicked. The floor microphones caught the exact embarrassing audio. DiJonai got right up into Caitlin's personal space, practically hyperventilating, and started screaming verbal garbage. She was hurling insults, clapping her hands aggressively, and trying to bait Caitlin into a reaction. It was the pure distilled essence of begging for attention. She was desperate. She needed Caitlin to push her back. She needed Caitlin to say something, anything to validate her existence on that court. If Caitlin Clark had shoved her back, Carrington would have won. If Caitlin had complained to the referee, Carrington would have won. But Caitlin Clark did the one thing that completely shatters a bully's ego. She subjected DiJonai to the absolute most savage, cold-blooded treatment a human being can endure, complete and total apathy. As Carrington stood there screaming, veins popping out of her neck, Caitlin didn't even break her stride. She didn't look at Carrington's face. She didn't acknowledge her presence. She looked straight through her like she was a ghost. It was the kind of disrespect that you can't teach. It's the Michael Jordan level of psychological dominance.
Clout chaser. What a clout chaser. Shout out to Bane. The way DiJonai flopped the whole game. She is so obnoxious. Oh yeah, she really is obnoxious. Then Clark hits a three right in her face. Funny because Carrington had a pretty soft foul that went her way on the other end. She's been running her mouth and trying to get a reaction out of Clark all game. Clark hasn't given it to her. And that probably eats up DiJonai Carrington. The fact that she couldn't get a reaction out of Caitlin Clark, that probably eats her up inside. Here we have, well, the white privilege Caitlin Clark versus instigator DiJonai Carrington. I think Caitlin got you tonight. Nay. That's nay. 37 points to 7 points. Ooh, she scored 30 more points than you. Damn. Same amount of rebounds, 10 assists to 1 assist. Yikes. Damn, DiJonai, that's a crazy picture. Fixed it for you. Oh, damn. Let's get into her highlight reel, shall we? Let's get into DiJonai Carrington's highlight reel. 7 points, 3 for 11 from the field, 0 for 3 from three-point land. She had this game. Let's take a look.
How much space? Carrington.
Whoa. That's how we're starting. You just.
Caitlin treated her like a minor inconvenience, like a gnat buzzing around her ear. And then the kill shot. As Caitlin jogged back up the court, leaving a frantic Carrington standing alone in the back court, the broadcast cameras caught it. Caitlin Clark let out a laugh. It wasn't a chuckle. It was a cold, dismissive, utterly savage smirk. She laughed directly at Carrington's desperation. That single smirk did more damage than a right hook ever could. You could literally see DiJonai's spirit break in real time. The crowd saw it. The bench saw it. And Carrington knew in that exact second that she had just become the biggest joke in the WNBA. She tried to bully the queen, and the queen literally laughed in her face without even breaking a sweat. When you embarrass a superstar, they make you pay. But when a superstar embarrasses you, they bury you. The moment that smirk left Caitlyn's face, a terrifying switch flipped, the competitive monster was unleashed, and she activated absolute God mode for herself.
For anybody to say she's like not fighting through stuff out there, including the defense. Look at this. Look at the defense around her right here. All those players around Caitlin Clark, which was on this play, which was just as impressive a highlight really as any of her threes. KK Timpson on the behind the back dime. And the rest of the floor is yours. Get those comments in, member chats, super chats. Go first as always. Please like and subscribe and all of that jazz. Let's go to Lini Cortez. Why are most of the players in the WNBA so unprofessional? Look, I mean, I do think the WNBA players have helped contribute to some of these narratives. There's one of those buzzwords. You know, the buzzwords out there now, narratives is one, discourse is one, noise is one, grifter is one, and slop. Those are words people like to use to like do a catch-all without actually saying anything. I do think, yes, sometimes the WNBA players don't help the situation in a variety of situations. Alini Cortez says, if this don't show how big the Fever are, their first slot on Get Up. All I heard were wows and gasp. LOL. Oh, did they show highlights of the game? I hope they showed highlights of the game. Get Up is more of that kind of show, at least from my knowledge. I haven't really watched it, but Wendy Cummings 9037 says, what a game. All skills out for CC, Kelsey, and Lexi. KK2.
The very next offensive possession, Caitlyn called for an isolation play directly against Carrington. The entire arena stood up. The silence was deafening. Caitlyn gave her one vicious hesitation dribble, crossed over so hard that Carrington's ankles practically shattered and left the clout chaser stumbling backwards. Caitlyn stepped back and drained a 30-foot three-pointer right in her eye. She didn't even wait to see the ball go through the net. She was already running back on defense. From that moment on, the game turned into a public execution. Caitlyn hunted DiJonai on every single possession. She was throwing no-look dimes past her ears, pulling up from the logo and completely dismantling her on defense. And how did Carrington respond to this pressure? She folded like a cheap lawn chair. The psychological weight of the humiliation completely destroyed her game. She played like absolute trash. We are talking about horrific air balls that didn't even graze the rim. We are talking about completely losing her dribble out of bounds. She was so rattled that she committed 3 utterly mindless fouls in the span of 4 minutes. Her own coach had to pull her out of the game. As Carrington walked back to the bench, the camera zoomed in on her face. There was no more trash talk. There was no more tough guy persona. She sat on the end of the bench with a towel over her head, utterly defeated, while Caitlin Clark continued to drop a historic 35-point masterclass on her team. Tonight was not a basketball game. Tonight was a lesson in reality. DiJonai Carrington tried to use Caitlin Clark's massive spotlight to build her own brand. She tried the sick physical hits. She tried the desperate verbal assaults. And she tried to be the villain. But she forgot that to be a legendary villain, you actually have to be good at the game. You can't just be a clout chaser. You have to back it up. Get up.